Welcome back to Art with Miss Yeazel. Let's look at our I Can for today. I can be safe when creating art. So we're going to talk for a few minutes about what kinds of things might hurt us if we were creating art. So in the art room, there are several things that you want to make sure that you're safe with. And number one thing is scissors. Scissors are probably the thing that we can cut ourselves on if we're not careful. We want to make sure that we never point the scissors towards us. We want to make sure that we never put our fingers in the way of the scissors. We want to make sure that we're not doing anything with the scissors that we're not supposed to, like cutting anything other than our project. Always be safe with scissors, and lots of boys and girls mention that you don't run with scissors. You could also possibly get hurt with your pencil if you got it too close to your face, or if you got it too sharp and you poked yourself with it. So make sure that you are very safe with your art materials, especially when you are at home, and make sure that someone is around if you are using something that you don't feel like you can be safe with. So your mom and your dad will make sure that those materials that you're using are safe. So how do we keep ourselves safe in the art room when we're at school? We make sure that we're keeping our pencils and scissors away from our face and our friends. And we also make sure that nothing goes in our mouth. Boys and girls sometimes forget that they're using other people's materials and they put them in their mouth, and that is not safe because we are spreading germs when we do that. So make sure that you know what kinds of things you can do to be safe when you're creating art. We're going to actually create a picture today called a landscape, and it's going to be a collage landscape. It's going to look kind of like this one, similar to this one, except it will not have blue or brown or green trees. It's only going to have a few colors. We're going to talk about what colors we're going to use. And those are the warm colors. The warm colors are the colors that the trees change to in the fall: red, orange, and yellow. So I would like for you to try to limit your colors today so that we can learn about that important group of colors called the warm colors. They make you feel happy and excited, and they're also the colors that we kind of associate with the changing of the leaves. And I know that the leaves get brown when they're completely dead, but brown dead leaves are not very pretty. And the trees that have not changed are green, but we're going to try to fill up our landscape with all of the warm colors today. So let's get started. You're going to need some blue construction paper, some green construction paper, and I have put a handout of outlines of trees that you can print off and color. And you can color the trees red, orange, and yellow. So gather up you're going to need glue, scissors, and your warm color crayons, and your paper, construction paper. So if you have gathered up your warm colored crayons, your red, your orange, and your yellow, and some blue paper and some green paper, you are also either going to have to print out this sheet that I put on PLP, or you're going to have to draw some trees on a separate sheet and color them and cut them out and put them onto your landscape. I think it looks better if they're cut out and glued. That's called collage. Collage is cutting and gluing. We're making a collage. So I'd like for you to experience making things instead of just drawing everything. If you do not have any of that, glue, scissors, and you only have crayons and paper, here's what you can do. you can use your white paper and you can draw the landscape. It's much more fun to create it with collage, but it can be done with drawing. So we're going to start with our lightest color, which is yellow, and I'm going to make a nice yellow sun. That is something we did not do in the classroom because we did not have yellow paper to cut out a sun and glue it on. But if you are going to draw everything, you can do that with your yellow crayon. Okay, so we have to create a line to show where the ground is in our picture. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put a line that's not halfway, a little bit less than halfway. And I'm going to make mine a little wavy, but since we were doing this with construction paper in the classroom, we just took a straight piece and glued it at the bottom for our grass. So you can do it a little different if you'd like. So we're trying not to worry too much about the grass because we're going to be covering up a lot of it with some trees in just a minute. So if you want to fast forward through me coloring the green grass. Color your grass. And if you have green construction paper, then you are using a strip of construction paper that matches how wide your paper is. And I got mine about 3 inches wide. 3 by 12, I believe that is, because my paper is 9 by 12. So about 3 inches of my paper is grass. If you have construction paper, this part of the project is take your glue, and put it on the back of the construction paper around the edges. Try not to press too hard. If you leave all that little stuff on the edges, I just kind of roll it onto my paper so I can use it, and then roll it back down and put the lid on, flip it over, and glue it to the bottom of your paper. Easy peasy. So let's go back to this one. If you do not have that construction paper, then you are coloring. So make sure that when you're coloring the sky, I like to usually use a crayon that is peeled when I do my sky. And I will take it and lay it on its side and rub the background. And that is a lot faster than coloring. Now, if you notice, I'm not coloring dark with this blue crayon because I do not want my sky to be super dark. And if you have a sky blue crayon, you could use that to color your sky. That would be beautiful. I did not, so I'm just using my regular blue lightly. And I'm going to color all the way down to my grass. There is not a big open space between my sky and my grass. That line shows where the sky stops and the grass begins. That is called a horizon line in your landscape. A line that divides the background, the sky, from whatever else is in the picture. Sometimes you'll have mountains back here, and that is your horizon line because that is what's separating the sky from the ground.
Okay, so I have some blue sky now. So at this point, you're going to need to get your trees. And if you do not have this paper printed out, you're going to get a piece of white paper and you're going to draw them on your white paper and cut them out. This will give you the same experience that boys and girls receive in being able to practice their cutting skills. If you're drawing everything and not doing any collage on this, you're not getting any cutting practice. So I would like for you to do that if at all possible. Now I know there are circumstances where people do not have crayons or scissors. So what you would do in that case is you would draw your trees directly on top of your landscape. But I'm going to show you this handout that I have has some trees on it, and they have trunks on them. And I told the boys and girls, do not cut around that trunk because it is just one line and it is too difficult to cut around. So what they did was they cut out these trees. So an outline of a tree, one of these trees, these are kind of different trees, weird trees. There's an artist named Eloise Runoff who designed these trees, and she wanted them all to look different. So she used different types of lines to show tree branches rather than drawing them realistically. She did them as designs. So what you're going to do is after you've drawn, you're going to color them using the warm colors and draw quite a few. I used the whole page on this landscape, and I still probably could have used a few more trees at the edges because they were kind of there was kind of some blank space there. So I'm not going to be careful about the shape around this tree because I'm going to cut it out. So that part you don't have to worry about. And if you have this and you colored them with all the warm colors. Oh, by the way, there are a lot of different warm colors that you can use besides red, orange, and yellow. You can also use a color called red orange. You could also use a color called goldenrod. It's kind of a brownish yellow. There's my yellow. This color is called dandelion, and if you have dandelion in your crayon box, you're very lucky because they have no longer make dandelion colored crayons. Red violet is a kind of a purpley red. It's this color right here, and I let them use that too, even though they said, oh, it looks purple, Miss Hazel, but it has some red in it, so we counted it as a warm color. Red orange, and what was the other one? Yellow orange. We had all those colors, so we colored the whole page, and then we cut them out. So when you're cutting, I'm going to demonstrate on this one. Make sure that you are keeping your scissor hand still and you are turning the paper. I call it driving your paper. Drive the paper. Okay, until you get the shape cut out. Drive the paper. Keep your scissor hand still and drive your paper. Okay, and then when you're finished cutting all of them out, you're going to take them and you're going to start overlapping them on your paper. Okay, so you want to make sure that you start up here and you make a row. You can make them up and down, then you do another row on top of that and overlap. And then the ones that are in the front, you are going to take a crayon, because remember, we cut off all the trunks on all those. All we had was a shape. We didn't have a trunk or tree trunk on any of them. So I glued them all on, And then I took my black crayon and the ones that are in front that I could see part of the trunk, I drew a trunk on there. So I drew some of them down a little further, some of them back. I did not draw them all the way to the bottom of the paper. Okay, so I hope you have fun creating your fall landscape and make sure that you are practicing cutting and gluing. Have fun, first grade.